Hey, everyone. How are y'all doing? Good evening, Connor's Outdoor Activities.
Yeah, we not many people in here at this moment. Uh, kind of odd, but I'm sure some more people will flow on through. Because we definitely have an amazing guest tonight. We've got two amazing guests. Can you take a guess who it is? Two amazing guests, and that would be Stan and his son, Stan.
Boom, boom,
Hey, how's it
bam.
going, guys?
And we're live.
And we're live. Yeah, so I got a message this morning. I didn't realize that it was scheduled for the wrong time, and I was on the way to work, and I got a message, and it was Chris, Indiana Chris. He was, hey, y'all have a live scheduled for 7 o'clock. I was like, no.
Well, they should have realized that I wouldn't be there at 7 a.m. I would have been late anyhow. So
How's it going, Kevin, Dale, Robin C? How are y'all? Uncle Lou. Thank y'all all for coming in. So, right before we went live, you had said something about y'all were fishing yesterday. Was that a good day? Was it a good day of fishing?
we caught fish. Well, you want to talk, or you want me to just
you can talk?
All right. We we had our grandson, my grandsons, his sons, Ethan and Ellie, out, and they didn't live up to their, they've already caught a 52-pounder and a 30-pounder this year, so it didn't live up to their standards, but they caught a couple fish, so it was a good day.
Hey, if you're catching fish, it's always a good day.
That's right. I know when we have Ken and Cody's son on the boat, no one else gets to reel a fish in. He gets to reel them all in.
That's how it goes. Yep. And that's if you're going to bring a kid out fishing, that's what it's our job to kind of make sure that we're kind of showing them the ropes and keeping it interesting and fun for them, and passing along the right things. And it's great teaching moments when you're out there with when you're out there with your family. It's just awesome teaching moments.
It is.
Boom, boom, bam. Thanks, Creole.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Creole. And he said, first time caller, long time listener. Welcome in, Ashley Brady. Thank you, Jeremy. So the big question that I had, the only question I really had planned out to ask you is, when am I going to get to come fish the James River with you guys?
Tomorrow.
Let's go.
Baby, what's the bank account look like? It's a long
You gotta bring the better
stay at home.
Yeah, you got to bring. We're used to Roger. Roger's been coming and visiting a few times, and he brings the better cheddars. So that's it.
I can swing that much.
Other than that, we got you. We got bait. We'll a whole nine, whatever you need.
I definitely one day want to make it to the James River. Number one, it's a great fishery. Get to see you guys and others that catch great fish on that body of water. But just opportunity to fish a tidal river. I mean, it's got to be totally different fishing.
Yeah, it can whoop your butt, and it can be rewarding. It's like having two rivers.
Yeah. The tidal river, it is. You're used to it going one way, and then 5 hours later, 6 hours later, boom, it's switching.
Right.
So you've got to have incoming spots, outgoing spots. You've got to know what section of the river, because we're kind of split. The James is split kind of. I don't know. It's about 100 and some miles from the fall line. That's actual tidal river.
Right.
So that part's got, the change in, and then the other 300 miles of it up above Richmond, we're not used to being this close together. I need a little elbow room, but the 300 miles up above Richmond is your normal, single flow river. But from Richmond, just above Richmond on down is your tidal river. And it does, up in the Richmond area, if you get a lot of rain and you get water, bam, you fish the city, because that's the first spot where all that water is going to come to. And it seems to draw all the fish up in there. But then as your water levels fluctuate, you move you kind of follow the river and move on down. So it's a lot to if you've never fished tidal, check with some people that fish there. It's a whole nother, and just for safety reasons, because there's some spots where at high tide, you've got 4 foot, and at low tide, you're under a foot. So, just for safety reasons,
Right.
Good to talk with somebody that can give you an idea. Hey, watch out here, watch out there, because, it'll drop 4 to 6 feet every 6 hours.
I think time management is probably one of the biggest factors with this tidal river. Figuring out where to be at what time, and then how long to stay there, if it's worth staying, or time management's key.
Right, because you only have that short window when the tide's where you want it to be. So you want to be in that productive area, I'm assuming.
Exactly. Boom, bam, you got it, Cody.
That's a good question right there by Freddie. What kind of rods and stuff do we use?
Oh, why didn't we bring it up here? Well,
Because they're in the boat, ready to go.
We primarily use 2 rods. If you've watched sand fishing, you've seen us pretty much. We started out with ugly sticks.
Uncle Lou said, Freddie, they use ugly sticks.
We started out with ugly stick catfish rods, and then of course, Uncle Lou. Without Uncle Lou, we probably wouldn't be as far along as we are, because he really helped us out. The Uncle Lou rods, you've seen what we've done with Uncle Lou rods. I'm not even gonna bring. Oh man, you moved my picture, didn't you?
I threw it.
Where is the sturgeon? You
threw the sturgeon picture away.
Yep. Well,
I didn't throw it away. I just threw it out of his reach.
I had it right here. He took it from me. But you see what Uncle Lou rods can do, and so we've got Uncle Lou rods, and Freddie Outdoor Adventures got the FOA rods. You've seen us catching some, and by us I mean Stand 3. Catching some 60-pounders on the Freddie rods. So those are primarily the 2 rods that we use now.
So you had mentioned, the tide stuff. Here we worry about time of day a lot, because what was the temperature overnight? Did we have a really warm night? Well, then early morning they might be in the shallows, things like that. I know you probably still worry about that stuff, but all that stuff comes second and third to the tide. The tide's the number 1 factor, right?
Yeah. It's like I need epic. Like, can I just cue like an epic clip right now? It's a scientific formula. Now, I guess probably if like an extreme like cold front or something came in, I might be thinking about depth a little bit, like as like the main stretch of river, but then the tide is going to pick like my more targeted spot.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It all plays together, like you said, tide is primarily, and the reason with tide, is we primarily target blue cats, and blue cats is current. If you want to catch your monster blue cats, it's going to have current in that area. And so that's why tides play an important factor. But, all the other stuff, we may have deep channels, but if it's the early morning or the afternoon where the sun's warmed it up, so we might need deep channels with a shallow flat by it. So and then with the right tide. So you kind of use all of that information together to pick where you're going to fish here.
So the James is pretty much renowned for being one, if not the best flat or blue cat fisheries in the country. I think that's pretty much undebatable.
Mm-hmm.
What do y'all think makes the James special?
Gizzard shad.
I think it's that big bait.
When you can go out and catch football, we call them footballs. I don't know if that's just what we've started calling them, and we call them footballs because literally they are the size of footballs. They're this big and 18 inches.
We've caught them over 20 inches multiple times.
Yeah. So
wow.
When there's that much food for them, even talking with Epic, you need several things for to produce trophy sized catfish. Water, the right water conditions, et cetera, but a deep water food source. And we've been marking shad in 40, 50 feet even.
Oh yeah. Because it's more of I guess a stable climate for the shad. It's more comfortable for them down there, and I guess that goes hand in hand with the fish too, the catfish. That's why they're deep on them high and lows of the temperature and everything like that.
Well,
So
how big a fish you think it
Go ahead,
takes to
Cody.
eat a shad that big? A 20-inch shad, one of those monsters.
Not big.
you would be surprised. We've had probably 15,
Yeah, I'll have
16-inch shad on.
those regular 16 to 12-inch shad live in like the spring or summertime, and you'll catch like a 20-pounder on them.
Really?
Yeah, y'all got to remember, there's no sous chef out there in the river, dicing up shad into chunks and stuff. They're going to eat what shad is there, and we have huge shad here. So your average 20, and I say average for the James River, but pretty much a 30-pound, 20 to 30 pounds is it's an average size fish here for even the upper James where we fish a lot. So that's what they're used to eating. They're used to eating those 12, 14, 15-inch shad. So it's not unusual for them. In other waters where maybe the average size shad is 8 to 10 inches, the catfish may not be as willing to eat such a big bait. But here, that's just normal food for them.
Right.
It's not. I don't think it's that weird. You think about even bass fishing. How many times have you used a lure? Use a lure this big, and then you catch a bass this big. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Like, what was that guy thinking going after that? And that's just a bass. So those guys don't care how big it is. They probably hit anything.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I've had bluegill hit bass baits, hit crankbaits before. You reel them in, and you've got
Exactly.
a little bluegill that's not much bigger than the crankbait that he snipped at. Couldn't even fit the whole treble hook in his mouth. So it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I wish we had those type shad here on our home lake. Our home lake is packed with shad, but they're about this long. So
It makes them tough days easy, I guess. If you only got to catch one, you can catch one shad and get enough bait for all your poles.
Yeah, we can get one nice shad and probably rig up 12 poles.
Yeah, and y'all use I haven't seen y'all have it out in a while, but used to see y'all use it a lot. Y'all gill net for shad there. You're allowed to get permitted to use a gill net, and y'all gill net some of these big monster shad from time to time, correct?
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
A lot of the time. A lot of the time. You go, I don't know, if you see a big school of them, you throw on them, but sometimes just put that net out, and then you can get your poles ready, and once they're all set, then you pull the net back in, and you're ready to go.
There's disadvantages to the tidal river, but one of the advantages is because it is a tidal river, it's still considered under the control of saltwater. We are allowed to use the gill net is a saltwater issued license. So because it is tidal, that's why we're allowed to use it here on the lower half of the James. You can't use it across the state, but in the James, because it's tidal, you're allowed to use it. So one of the advantages of tidal.
Creole says, I don't think fish understand how big or small they are. They only know size compared to whatever is in front of them at the time. That makes sense.
Pretty accurate.
And if anybody has any questions for Stan or Stan, y'all be sure to drop them in the comments. I'm sure they will not mind answering them for you.
No.
So,
Cody, that's one of the things I love. That's one of the reasons why I do it, and y'all hear me so much is I love just being around catfish. I love being able to see somebody catch their first fish or the biggest fish or more fish or whatever. So that's one of the reasons why we started doing this.
And y'all both have fished the online tournaments quite a bit and found some good success in those. But Stan 3 fishes the app-based tournaments, the money tournaments. You still fishing those quite a bit, Stan?
I haven't really fished them since my youngest was born, and nobody really signing up for them that I see. They're all kind of like in-person fishing, places like Tennessee, place not local. So I haven't really seen any tournaments I can sign up for. But if there was, I'd be in it.
Well, everybody got tired of donating the money to you and Dan. It was you and Dan winning every one of them. People got tired of donating.
I finally got a good kayak now. Now there's no tournaments for me to enter. My kayak's sitting in the garage.
Well, Cody and I got in a couple of those, but when we got in them, it was you registered the boat. So it didn't matter when we were out fishing which one of us reeled them in. Then they changed it to person, and it was kind of hard for us to do then because we didn't want both of us to sign up for the same tournament out fishing in the same boat.
We can relate to that. That was kind of, they were trying to open it up to more people, and so you had it for the boat. But then there was like,
you were doing the bank, and then I was in the kayak, and then Dan was in the boat. So then we're all trying to fish together, but we got to separate. So then you're not really fishing together.
And then, it was the boat, but we fished the James River, which is sometimes you're fishing really, really narrow water. You're fishing really short water. Other times you're going down further down river where it's big river, where you need a bigger boat. So it was tough to kind of try to manage all that. Like in one day you could go from bank to kayak to John boat to big boat, and in just one day. So it was tough with that kind of keeping it to one specific thing.
Right.
So I heard y'all tell Rogers, or maybe it was Dan that said it. Heard one of y'all say it the other day, talking about y'all really liked fishing these places that you could just set up because maybe if the fish weren't even there at that time, but you knew because of the tide and all of these things that fish were going to be in those areas.
Mm-hmm.
Elaborate on that, or if that wasn't y'all that said that, how like what y'all's mindset normally when going out and finding these big fish, these monster fish y'all catch?
I think it's kind of like deer hunting a little bit. Like you want to be in his spot before he gets there. And you know that he's got the structure, or there's going to be a drop off or whatever. You're just maybe waiting for the current, or you got to wait for the current to switch. So you get there ahead of time. But that's kind of been my biggest success. I noticed between if it was upriver, it's more like a high or low. So once it was high tide, I knew there was a certain spot I had to be at, and if it was low tide, I knew the fish weren't even going to be up at the upper river. So I would move down a little bit to the structure, and then it's kind of like a nighttime thing too. Like if a spot's going to turn lights on, it's probably going to be a good spot to set up near, because then the fish are going to move into the light. The bait fish are going to move into the lights, and the big boys or big girls ain't going to be too far behind.
Right. Yeah. And I've heard other people talk about fishing, whether it be a dock that's lighted, whatever the case may be, or even just fishing close to ramps or marinas that have just your normal street lamp type lights. But from my perspective, I see a lot of people want to set up right on the light, and I think the majority of those fish aren't actually in the light. They dart into the light sometimes, but I think a lot of them are back away from that, whether it be 10, 20 yards, or if you've got some kind of ledge or something hiding behind it, and they stage back away from it. So it is a great place, but you don't necessarily want to fish right under it. Has that been y'all's experience?
Right. Yeah,
I think it's like you got the light in your eyes, and then you go walk outside. You can't see anything. So I bet you the catfish waiting just outside of that. The shad come in, they can't really see as well, or so it's a lot easier to attack them probably.
Look at, it's just like this. When you're, you feel safest as people, we feel safest in the light. And when you're in the dark, you feel like you're kind of in cover. So, the bait fish, those smaller fish that need that protection, they're going right up in that light, just like you were saying. They're going to be right in that light and zooming around. Well, the predator fish are going to be right on the edge of that light, just like you were saying, kind of off a little bit. As soon as one of them stray a little bit too close to the dark, bam, that's where they're getting nailed. So yeah, you nailed it exactly right, Cody. You're kind of setting up, just like you were fishing structure. You're setting up on ambush points, and right as that light goes over to the dark, that's some great points right there, because that's where they're, the predator fish are kind of hanging off in that kind of. They're using the light and dark situation as their cover. So they're kind of backed up in the dark a little bit and using that as their cover. and then bam, just ambushing them as they come into that right at that edge.
I think one of my best spots is probably like 200 yards, maybe 100 yards upriver from the light.
222 yards.
222 yards. To be specific.
To be exact, he measured it. So,
But yeah, there again, there's a where he's talking about there's like a lighted. It's a like a water station. The cat is just not leaving us alone right now. There's like a water station. It's got big lights around the water. So like Stan 3 was saying before, you know that the big fish are going to be heading that direction. So as it's starting to change over to that, you know, the fish are going to be heading that way. So you kind of set up as on their travel corridor down to there.
Gotcha.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, when he started talking about the deer hunting analogy there, I could really see that. That was a great analogy.
Yeah, I've never thought of it that way, but it's after he says it, it's like, well, of course that's the way you should think about it. That it makes all the sense in the world.
Well, and you know, Stan 3 took to deer hunting like he did to fishing. You know, I was when he was younger and he got his bow hunting license, and it's the first time going out. You know, we're going out and scouting and doing all this stuff, and you know, and I'm trying to teach him patience and saying, you know, you're not going to go out there on the opening morning and just, you know, it takes time. You go out there, you take your time, and you learn things. And all right, we didn't see anything here. We moved there. We were out there 30 minutes on opening day with his bow. He wasn't even sitting out in the woods 30 minutes when he got his first deer. So all that patience and all that went right out the window.
So he got spoiled kind of like his kids are getting spoiled to catfishing right now.
Exactly.
And we got another.
Boom, boom.
There it is. Boom, boom, bam. The 222 for Let's Go Twos. Thank you, Uncle
Thank you, Uncle G. Thank you.
Yeah, when you go to talking a little deer hunting, I'm right with you. I love to bow hunt. I've gotten a little older, and I love sitting in the boat a little more than I do sitting in the deer stand anymore. But I've spent a lot of hours out there in the deer stand bow hunting.
Oh, Larry, this fall when we were out there on stand day mornings, that was the first thing. We were like scoping the shore. How many bucks did we see?
Oh, yeah.
Unbelievable.
Nice bucks.
Like 8, 10, 12 pointers, huge bucks. Like just kind of meandering right there. Same thing, you know, big bucks, just like the big fish. They were kind of like right at that edge line and using that cover and things. So that's kind of you know, if you look at, we can see the animals above the water, but I think that they're all kind of similar. They all kind of use the same things. Like you see that big buck and you can see that his trail is kind of right at that edge. He's still in the cover, but he's at the edge, just like Cody brought up about the lights. And, you know, so that I think it translates to under the water. If you're trying to find that big fish, I think you use those same type of situations. And that's where, you know, electronics come in. We were out with Zach and Roger, and some of the stuff that they have the Helix 12, I think, with the side imaging, and you could see the shadows and just unbelievable.
I saw stuff. I've been over that spot. I couldn't tell you how many times, and I saw stuff I didn't know was down there. Amazing what you could see with some good electronics.
But when you can use that to your advantage and you can pick those spots out, I think those are the people you see consistently catching big fish, kind of can find those spots, and that's what I think the key is.
So Uncle Jeep had a question here since we were talking about the deer and you were talking about seeing them from the boat. He said, could you actually deer hunt from the boat legally?
I don't think you're allowed to shoot from the boat, but you can take the boat to places.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the way it is here. You can take the boat to your hunting spot, but then you have to be out on the land, on the bank to shoot.
Yep.
And we got another boom, boom. Was it how Stan say it?
Boom, boom, bam.
Boom, boom, bam. I'll get it down one day. Boom, boom, bam. Wayne Huska with the $5 super chat, and he says 2.22 times 2.
Thank you, Wayne. Thank you. Appreciate that. That's awesome. But
Either I don't know. I'm gonna go with Creel's
Oh.
question. Either a motor, probably motor, definitely a motor.
I'm getting old. I can't see any of chat or anything yet.
It
What is
says,
What kind of gear we would like to upgrade for the future?
Oh, first and foremost, most of the fish. God bless J Dog. I love him to death. You know, he was my original BFF, and then he's had 222 other BFFs after that. But last year's CatCon, he literally drove the motor, hand delivered it to us at CatCon, and we can't thank him enough for that. We've been powered by J Dog in 1957.
1957. You only need one screwdriver. You could take the whole motor apart.
One flathead screwdriver. They didn't even have the Phillips back then, I don't think. But with the James River, that motor only gets us so far. So, to have like a 20 horse or something where we could get to different spots a little quicker, that would be the first upgrade. And after that, I would say electronics.
Yep.
Because we've got the best rods in the business, Uncle Lou's and FOA double Y. So we don't need any better rods. That's already taken care of.
rods are taken care of.
So, in the on the topic of gear or what we're fishing with, where would you rank, say, having an expensive rod over just like a cheap rod, having fresh or having premium bait? Like, where do you rank everything? Like, what's top tier you unwaver on?
Before we go any further, I want to say what a great show. This is what I love. We're talking catfishing. We're asking, really some detailed questions that can help people out there. So y'all are doing a great job with the Keeping It Real show here. This is just a great job with the show. So I want to say that first and foremost. But my thing with the rods, the biggest things for us, because we fish a big river here, we had the Ugly Stick catfish rods. We had Uncle Lou's, the $25. Can you go out and catch gigantic catfish with them? Yes, you can. We've caught 30s, 40s, 50s with those. I think my 60-pounder came on or 50-some pounder came on an Ugly Stick. The difference between the Ugly Sticks and the Tiger rods from Walmart and all those is if you look at what they're rated to cast, most of them are rated to cast maybe 2-3 ounces. If you're fishing river systems where you need a 6, 8, 10-ounce sinker to hold it in place, plus then you're chunking a pretty good size of bait, that's a pretty good amount to cast on a rod that's only rated to cast 3 ounces. That's the biggest difference.
Either one, Uncle Lou. Either one.
What's it say?
It says long or short shaft for the 20 horsepower. My opinion is probably going to be
short.
It's probably going to be the reel.
Whoa.
I think you can, because like you can get the poles from Walmart, or you can have a amazing Uncle Lou rod that can launch it out there. But when that fish bites, you want that gears and everything to be. You can have a crappy little dock demon or something. As long as you got a good reel on there, you can handle.
I'm not listening.
You can handle it all. If the drag all of a sudden locks up on that reel, then boom, your line snaps.
Yes.
It don't matter what rod
you can hand line it with the great rod. You can hand line it.
My mind is in the exact same place Stan's 3 is,
Yes.
and you having a reel that you trust the drag system on it. It doesn't matter if you got 10-pound test on it, long as you stay running with the fish. If you got good drag, he can't break it. It's just going to keep pulling drag.
Yeah, let's see you cast that 10-pound test with a 8-ounce sinker and a piece of shad like that. Huh? Just saying.
Well, if it's a crappy reel, the bail will close and snap your line, and there goes your bait. A good reel, you're gonna cast it good too.
This is the stuff y'all don't see every stand day, but we do this every Sunday. This is
and but also to Stan's point, I've used some pretty cheap rods. I used a Lou's Cat Daddy rod and reel that come pre-spooled, $16. And I got a 40-pounder on it one day.
Yep.
And I was nervous. Whenever I seen him top the water, like I was nervous as can be because I wasn't confident in my gear.
Boom.
It got it in, but if I see a 40-pounder come up to the top of the water with the Uncle Lou rod in my hand that I'm fishing with now, well, I'm like I feel sure that I'm going to get it in. I know it's not going to be a problem for it. And confidence is key when you're fishing.
Cody, I couldn't agree more. You know, that was the big. I blacked out a few times. I'm not trying to bring up the Sturgis story, but we're talking about rods, and that was, you know, I blacked out a couple times during that. It was only a medium action Uncle Lou rod, and I never ever worried about the rod. Like there was no worry. What, have you heard this story before?
Oh, yeah.
But the Uncle Lou rod, I never worried about the rod. That was, you know, when you're fighting the fish, you can feel what has more. You can tell if your line is getting, you know, you could tell what you're worried about, and there was never any worry in that. There was still more in the rod, so it was. I agree exactly what you're saying. You got to have confidence in what you're using.
So, what kind of reel did you have on that rod?
Well, I was
reel?
fishing with Dan that day, so Dan happens to have Shimano Takotas. So I wasn't worried about the reel either.
I don't have any of them in my boat.
No, neither do we. So that brings up a great point. Hey, if you got to have great friends. That's and that's one thing that's awesome about the catfish community.
Yes.
You know, you meet some amazing people, and there's too many of them. You know, Uncle Lou, J-Dog, Murillo. There's so many people out there. LG Bass. There's, you know, I mentioned a couple, and you know, I'm sure I'm gonna tick off a bunch. Like everybody out there has at one point or another supported Two Stands, and we can't thank them enough.
And you know, also what's great about this community is, okay, I wouldn't have known Stand 2 and Stand 3 if it wasn't for YouTube. I wouldn't have known J-Dog. I wouldn't know Uncle Lou. But also, there's guys that live on our home lake I wouldn't know if it wasn't for YouTube.
Yeah, I agree.
I might have seen them or something, but I'm not in the business of just pulling up beside a random people on the lake and being like, "Hi, my name's Cody." You know, so there's
why not? Stand 3 has had to deal with me, so that's I've done that before, but
I can't.
Boat ramp is one thing, but out on the water, I might not do it.
Somehow, I feel like the parent-son relationship here is about turned in some of the.
Are you saying I'm getting old,
No,
Larry? Are you trying to call me old? Is that what?
No, I'm right there with you.
Well, the mayor has to get out and do some politicking, ain't that right, Stan?
That's right. That's right. And where that came from is my wife. My wife is actually the one that called me the mayor like years ago. We'd go to the store. We'd go to the grocery store, wherever, and she'd be 3 aisles ahead of me because I'm talking to how many different people. Like that's just always been one. I was in the Air Force, and after I got out, I was managed restaurants. So basically, when you're managing restaurants, I really looked at it as you were basically just dealing with people, you know, and then that was we did food and we did that stuff, but to be successful is you had to know how to to talk to people and deal with people, and that is really the way I looked at it. So we lived in a small area, so pretty much everybody knew who I was because, you know, that was my you know, I managed the restaurants, but that's how I just I was always out in the community. We were doing we always supported a bunch of different things, so I knew a bunch, you know, everybody knew me, so that was just, I'm used to that. That was what I was used to. So she would actually call me, "All right, Mayor, come on, I'm 3 aisles ahead of you. Let's go."
That's where the moniker, the mayor, came from.
That's where it started at. Yep.
And Brian B's making fun of me falling. I'm sure everybody in here seen the video of me falling face first on the pavement out in front of my house. Oh, you hadn't seen it? Oh,
no, I didn't see it yet.
I want to say real quick, thank you for your service.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I was racing my youngest son down the street here.
Oh, I did see that one. I did
Yeah, I
see that
didn't put my Crocs into 4-wheel drive,
Crocs.
and
the sport Crocs. Yeah.
my top half outrun my lower half, and so I thought that was a pretty good comment by Brian, even though it was at my expense. And then we got a few comments saying here, "Staying too talk." No, you don't say it.
Yeah, it's nothing new. I've been known to do that.
So, well, Creo says he remembers way back when Stan was shy and didn't say much on camera.
Yeah, I was. That was.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
It didn't last long.
No.
And before we go any further, you all nailed it. That the CatCon.
Oh, yeah.
I'm super excited about CatCon. Big shout out to Catfish Conference, the Catfish Crappie Expo Conference Extravaganza Extraordinaire, February 24th and 25th. But y'all nailed that video. Was one of the funniest, one of the best videos I've seen in a long time. Y'all did a great job with that. That was it's not until February 20th. That was just amazing. If y'all haven't seen 3+1's Catfish Conference video, y'all got to check that one out. That was hilarious.
Yeah. I thought it was great, and I was really proud of it. And then Chris and Telly Lee had to go one up us and put out a better one. So, and then I seen Chris from Catfish Clothing put out one on TikTok, and it's been my favorite one yet. He slammed the rod in the door and said, "Oh, good thing I'm going to CatCon," and I thought that was an amazing one. I really enjoyed watching that one.
There may be some other people putting a couple out here pretty soon. I'm just saying, you never know. You never know.
Oh, better keep an eye out. And for anybody in chat that isn't already a part of the Two Stands family over there, their link is in the description. Anybody's welcome to drop their link also in the chat, but it is in the description there also. Mike Greenwell, hey, how's it going, buddy? And if anybody's got any questions for either one of the stands here, be sure to drop them in chat. If I don't ask it, drop it again, because I'm not the best with keeping up with everything.
He just moved the phone closer to me, and he kind of like out of the corner said, "I know you're older, you can't see very well. I'm going to move this a little closer for you."
Well, I can't lie. I keep adjusting my glasses because everything's blurry to me. So I understand.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Oh, that's right. Yes. That was announced just recently. The very best video is going to win a free hotel room for making the video.
Awesome. Well, then, see, I'm rooting for us. Then I'm not giving props to anybody else, because I was cheap and just want to drive up there both days. And Dave's like, "Well, you just sleep in the floor or something in our room. You no need to drive both ways," because I was being a cheapskate. But hey, Chris and Telly's video's no good. Catfish Chris's video's no good. Just
that's right. I'm voting for y'all so far.
Thank you. Well, speaking of voting, while we're on the topic of voting, if anybody hadn't went over and voted on the Golden Whiskers, there is a ton. Every category has some amazing anglers nominated. Go over, take the time to actually sit down, think about who you think is best for that award, and vote on it before time ends. I think you have till the to the end of the month, right?
I'm not.
Yeah, it's February 1st, I believe, is when it ends.
Yeah. So you got less than 2 weeks to get around to doing that. So go over there, think about it hard, come up with the people you think really deserve those awards, and be sure to vote. So, but all right, back to you, Daddy. Go ahead.
All right. Well, we're gonna get off CatCon. Well, I was sitting here thinking, I know you guys catch some awesome fish on the James River. So just go ahead and enlighten us on both of you CBs.
76-pound blue cap and a 54-pound flathead and a 16-pound channel cat.
All big fish.
222 pounds. No, my biggest blue is 62 pounds.
Yeah, 62 pounds. He's caught that one a couple times.
Yeah.
It always just goes 62.
And I caught big channel cats. I love catching. Where we were in upstate New York, we didn't really have blue cats, so our catfishing up there was bullheads mostly, and there was some channel cats in the Delaware River. We got one that was 14 pounds, 16, something like that. But yeah, it was bigger. It was 22 pounds. 22 pounds? Yeah, 22-pound channel cat in the Delaware River. Thank you, son. Up in New York. I've caught someone way back in the day, back in Georgia. But when you do YouTube, it only, if it's not on video, it doesn't count. So I got the 62-pound blue cat. I don't think I've caught any.
I wish we could have found a picture of that one. Oh, they'd love to see you then.
Which one?
Your picture like 30 years ago when you're holding that catfish.
That's right. I was Diesel.
And Uncle Lou, when you say something about channel cats, he chimes in with the channel rats, but we all know he loves them. That is his favorite species of catfish.
You know what? And you got to go with, we happen to live 10 minutes from one of the best blue cat fisheries, arguably one of the best blue cat fisheries in America. Uncle Lou, you've seen the channel cats that he can catch out there. Arguably one of the pound for pound, the best fighting catfish that there is out there.
Yes.
When you can catch 15, 16 pound, 20 pound channel cats, I mean, that's, whatever fish you have in your area. I say it a lot. It's not the size of the fish. It's the size of the excitement that it brings you. And we just said channel cat, and Uncle Lou was excited. So that's all that it takes right there. It doesn't matter if it's 2 pounds, 2.2, 22, 200 pounds. If that fish excites you, hey, that's what fishing is all about.
And Jeff Bill says you catch big kings in upstate New York.
We went a few times we didn't do a lot of salmon fishing, but up by Oswego with my brother-in-law and my cousins and stuff, and his cousins, and they were kind of more into it than we were. But yeah, there was some
for the steelheads a lot.
Steelheads, we did catch some nice steelheads up there. I caught we used to catch some big rainbows. I kept wanting to get it mounted, and it was what, like over 10 pounds. It was a beautiful rainbow, and never got it mounted. And
I caught a big golden trout.
Yeah, the golden trout, that was crazy. Big pike, and we caught a 9+ pound bass through the ice, where we had to actually dig the hole out deeper, and I eventually had to take all my coat and stuff off because I couldn't get this big arm through that 8-inch hole.
Let me move out the way.
Yeah, I couldn't, the size of that arm, I couldn't get it through the hole, but eventually I had to take and reach down through the ice, and we pulled that 9-pound bass up through the ice. And
but I guess to describe our catfish experience, we were bragging about catching 5-pounders the first time we came fishing here. We ended up catching some 5-pounders and stuff, and I was going to work bragging about it, and everybody kind of started laughing at me. You ain't fished the James much, have you? No, that was my first time.
So, but we all love talking about weight and PBs and all this, but honestly, it's all relative. It comes down to what is big to you. In our waters, catching a 50 is probably as rare as catching a 65 or so, maybe 70. I don't know. 70 is huge no matter where you go. That's a monster no matter where you go.
No, but I get exactly what you're saying.
So you have to keep it in perspective, and we have decent waters. So if you're in a place where 20-pound fish is like top 1% of the fish in the water, you got to realize, even though it might be average for the James, you're catching the top 1% of your water and be excited about it. we can hear numbers from other people and kind of let it make us jaded towards what we're catching. And it's all circumstantial, you know. It's all based on where you're fishing and your experience level.
Boom, and you said it right there, Cody. Like, it's no secret that we've talked to Epic for the past couple years, and you know, I've loved the biggest thing with him is I think our biggest fish, well, my biggest fish, the biggest catfish, we weren't catching. I wasn't catching. Like, he had caught several 60s and stuff before we started doing YouTube. You know, it all started out, believe it or not, you know, y'all are not going to believe this. The first big catfish that either of us caught here was a 22-pound blue cat right underneath the James River bridge from the bank. And I was like, oh my God, it was a monster. I bought it for 15. Look at the size. It was a shark to me. It was like, that was it. And we were hooked. It was a 22-pound blue cat, which now it's like, oh wow, check this out. Another, you know, it's a 20-pounder. Look at this. But then that was like the shark. And, you know, talking with Epic, it's all about the journey. So, you know, at that point, that 22-pounder, that was our 100-pounder. Right. You know, now 50, 60-pounders, that's our 100-pounder. You know, 70, 80-pounders, that's our 100+ pounder. You know, it's a journey. If you do this sport of catfishing, if you are obsessed by it, like I think most of us out there are, it doesn't matter where you're at on that. That's your, you know, whatever it is, whatever that size is, that's your 100. That's the 100-pounder to everybody else. If you don't think you're going to catch a 20 and then you catch an 18, well, you know, that's a 100-pounder. That's, you know, that's it's that journey. So Cody, you nailed it exactly right. It's based on the fish that you have around you and what you've caught so far. So that's you really killed it. You nailed it with that one.
Well, yeah, like you said, and not just the fish in the water, because like you just said, what you've caught so far, because I can remember back 2 years ago, and if I hooked into a 30-pounder, like it was the end of the world, you know. Look at this. And I'm still fishing the same waters. Yep. Now, if I hook into a 30-pounder, I'm excited. It's a great fish for these. Oh, yeah. I love it. But I'm not it's not the same as what it would have been 2 years ago for me.
Exactly.
So, you know, we say it's relative to the water, but it's also relative to what you've caught in the past. If you're having fun, it's a great catch.
Yep.
So Greenwell said, or when you go 8 years looking for a 50 and then pop 3 in 1 year.
And you know, and that makes a difference too. You know, we all know Mike Greenwell out there. He puts his time on the water, and I think that's a big part of it too. Like when
I noticed a difference this year.
Yeah, when you go out there and you know, there's no wrong way to fish. There's no right way. It's whatever is for you. If you're going out there and your enjoyment is just getting out and you're out there on the water and you're fishing, hey, that's great. If your enjoyment is like Mike just said, people 8 years in trying to find that big fish, and then bam, he got 350s in a year. You know, that's your thing. That's, you know, so everybody's got their own thing. Everybody's got their own way of fishing. And when you can search for that and you're trying to get better and trying to get better, and then to actually succeed in that, I mean, there's no better feeling in the world other than watching your kids and grandkids and that succeed in those things. So big shout out to Mike. Yeah, he got 350s the past year. That's after searching for him and doing all the work involved in it. That's just great. That's awesome.
And you have to realize what your goal is when you head to the water. You could be like a person that comes to mind is J-Dog. He catches he's caught tons of, quite a few monster sized fish, but his goal, he just assumed go out and catch high numbers. Me, I go out, I don't care about the numbers of fish we catch as much as I do. I'm happy if we just get that one good fish. So you have to know what your goal is too. If you want to go out and catch numbers, you're probably going to look in a different place and fish in a different manner than you would if you're just going out for that one monster sized fish, And of course, ideally you catch a ton of monster sized fish, but you're either looking for the big fish and you're not going to catch as many, or you're looking for the smaller fish and you can catch a lot of them.
Yeah.
We look for the active fish.
The
'Cause you can find fish, but it don't mean they're gonna bite. So I guess that's more what I've been trying to focus on lately. Because anybody can go out there and put something in the water and you might catch a fish, but I want to set up on a pile of them and 4 rods go down at the same time, and I want to get consistent at that. It's almost, if you're catching fish, you're gonna catch a big one here in the James. So I want to get good at finding them pockets or whatever time I'm supposed to be there, get multiple hookups at the same time.
Okay, so what makes a fish? What do you think is the determining factor in making a fish active?
The right location. Being up in the flat when you're supposed to be in the flat, or being on the ledge or in the deep when you're supposed to be in the deep.
Do you think it's just that fish is just hungry right then, or is it other factors that are making them more active at those times? Do you believe?
Probably
some people
the
don't believe in barometric pressure, all these things. I
Boom,
do.
I'm glad you brought that up. Roger was talking about the other night. We spent many hours talking with Epic and Roger and Creo and all kinds of people about this. Here's my thought on it. Moon phase has something to do with it. Barometric pressure has something to do with it. Water level has something to do with it. Water temperature has something to do with it. Air temperature has something to do with it. Cold front, warm front, hot front, all have something to do with it. The more positives, the better fishing you're going to have. The more negatives, the worse fishing you're going to have. And there's not one key thing of all those other side things. There's not one key thing. I think the better that you get in tune with reading the waters. Okay, the currents here, where we've got this water flow, we've got these conditions. I know in these similar conditions, this is where I've caught more fish. And it sounds silly. It sounds like I know it's just a generic saying, but the more time you spend out there, the more you're able to knock out. Where we used to fish water that now we know, there's not going to be any fish here. We can just look at the water now and know there's not going to be any fish here based on all the other conditions. Whereas before we would have spent time to fish there and said, yep, you know what, there's no fish here. Now we know ahead of time, just by spending that much time out there, they're not going to be here. So we're going to go look here, look in these other spots based on what the conditions are.
And that all comes from, like you said, time on the water.
Yep. Time on the water, listening to shows like this, taking information that you hear. YouTube is great. There's a Monday through Sunday, there's shows out there that are talking catfish, and is it going to be the exact same from lake to river, or from the James to the Potomac to the Tennessee no, but you take the things that you've learned, you put that to use on your waters, you try them out. If it works for you, great. You may find that things work a little different in your waters, but all of that stuff combined is what I think really helps you keep growing if you're looking for that.
Right.
And that's one of the things Cody and I are doing this year that we've never done before. We've actually put a logbook in the boat, and every time we go out, we're logging everything down: the weather, the barometer, the temperature, the water temperature. We're logging everything down so we can compile that information. At the end of the year, we'll have a whole year that we can look back through and see if we can find any good patterns to it.
Yeah. Well, a big differentiator is where we lack, and like somebody like y'all really excel in, is the time on the water. Because me and Daddy's a bit lazy at it. We spend on average 4 hours on the water a week. We go Saturday morning, year round. It doesn't matter what season it is. We spend 4-5 hours max on the water on a Saturday morning, and that's the only time we fish. I've seen where Stan and you were out on the water for, I watched you out on the water for 38 hours. So, y'all aren't afraid to commit the time. Y'all are willing to commit those long periods of time to the water.
Yeah, that one was just documented, but we do that all the time.
And you got to have other people around you. I mean, that's not just I'm sure you know that, Cody and Larry, that's you have other people. Like, we started doing this thing, and my wife and Stan 3's wife now, and they kind of know how important this stuff is to us, and kind of say, okay, you just got to work it in there, and you kind of try to plan around it and know that things are going to come up. We've been blessed to have other great people fishing the river here with us. Dan from Green Machine. Lately, you've seen us fishing with Team Snag and Whiskers, and I just love trying to bring all the different, fishing with different people and bringing other. We got Fishing Fever that is just starting the YouTube thing, and
the time on the water thing. I was gonna say it before I got sidetracked, but I noticed a difference this year because like we're the same way. Basically, we go out on Sunday, our stand day, and then that's kind of all we get to do right now.
Yeah.
But last year when we were starting,
Oh yeah.
I was on the water 4 or 5 days a week, and it was just once you figured out a pattern, you was able to just kind of stay with them. It's a lot harder.
Yeah.
It's a lot harder to pick up on that pattern and expect to be catching fish right away Sunday morning at 9 o'clock when we start.
Yeah, this year I agree. This year, when we were doing this stuff a year or 2 years ago, yeah, we were both. If he wasn't out there, I was out there, and we were doing. But various reasons, whatnot, we still do our stand day, and we started that on Sunday mornings because that was the only day that that Stand 3 had free. So
actually, it was free because you couldn't hunt on Sundays. So I was hunting every other day. That's why we went fishing on Sundays back
yeah,
then.
Virginia, you couldn't hunt on Sundays, and so that was. He knew how important. I had found YouTube then, and that was that kind of was our thing, and then so we started going fishing every Sunday morning, and back then it was just us, the two of us going out fishing, and whenever we got out there in the morning, that's when we got out there, and we tried. Sometimes we're out there 6 in the morning. We started. And,
that's why it was called Stand Day, because it would go all day.
and we might fish all day long. And lately we've tried to do it where we've brought other people on and let other people come up and fish with us. And which reminds me, if anybody out there is ever fishing on Sunday morning between 9 a.m. and noon, and you want to come up and fish with us on stand day, just email us at twostandsfishing@gmail.com. We love having new people come up and fish with us. We do all the catfish, even carp, bullheads, channel cats, whatever. We just love having people come out and fish with us. We do that every Sunday morning, stand day morning, 9 a.m. to noon.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind somebody else coming there. Timmy's been whooping our butts the past couple of weeks. Maybe somebody can give him a whooping.
Chesapeake Bay Catfish has been on fire. We did win this past Sunday, though.
That's true.
Dustin got a 20 pound plus flathead in 40-degree waters. Go figure.
That's unreal.
So, and for anybody I think most everybody in here watches the show, but if you don't watch Stand Day and you want to be a part of it, like you said, they've opened it up to carp. They opened it up to bullheads. There's going to be something in your waters, native to your waters, that is going to be eligible to count towards the point system. And Stan does an amazing job of making everybody feel welcome. Even if you're just in the comment section, I don't know how he keeps up with all the comments. He keeps up with them all.
Thank you.
He makes everybody feel welcomed and like being a part of the show. So be sure to check that out. We got about a minute and a half here before Chad's show starts, but I want to get to Uncle Lou's question here. And I know for a lake, I feel like it matters a lot, but he says, how much do you believe the barometric pressure comes into play for moving water?
It definitely comes into play, but I've been trying to kind of experiment with an upriver, downriver part, but it definitely affects it.
Yeah, I think it affects more of where we fish sometimes.
Yeah, that's what I'm meaning.
Yeah,
I kind of noticed it. I think if it's a high pressure, I've noticed a bite upriver, which is a little bit more shallow. So I don't know if that makes sense for the normal stuff, but.
So you think the bite is worse shallow?
No,
I think it got better shallow just on this one stretch of river.
Just on the one, and that's spending a bunch of time on a whole different, even Epic will tell you there's anomalies in different parts of different things, and you never know. That's just something that we've seemed to notice. But there's so many factors out there. Like I said before, I think that the biggest thing is if you can go fishing,
Go
go
fishing.
fishing.
Go fishing when you can, because it's good for you.
Those men said we're cutthroat on Sundays.
That's right.
Well,
Yeah, it's cutthroat, boy.
Man, you catch anything, we give you a 0.22 pounds.
That's right. That's right.
Danny Stone got a goose off the side of the road. We gave him points for it.
0.22. That's right. And even if you don't catch catfish or carp, you get the 0.22 Denny, and that's the honorary Danny Stone 0.22. He's caught bullfrogs, turtles, drum, goose.
Yeah.
So we gave Danny we give that the honorary 0.22. If you catch anything, you get 0.22.
Well, that is a blast. It is 7:00, everybody. We always end our show with a quick prayer. Daddy, if you want to pray us out, and I'll drop that link for Chad's show, and everybody can go over and watch the bait shop.
All right. Thank you, Heavenly Father, Lord, for these great guests, Lord. Thank you, Lord, for just giving us the opportunity to have them in our lives, Lord. We thank you for each and every person that was in the chats tonight, Lord. And we just ask you to look over each and every person, put a hedge of safety around them, and be the guiding light beneath our feet. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Well, hey, Stan and Stan, thank y'all so much for being here. I feel like y'all did a whole lot for our viewers tonight. Y'all give some fantastic information. Everybody, be sure to check.
I feel like we could do another whole show on this. Like we didn't even cover the father-son dynamic and all that other kind of stuff. So, awesome job! It was a great show.
Hey, I appreciate it. Y'all made it that great show. So, thank y'all for supporting us. Ever since it wasn't long after we started our channel, I remember seeing Stan in our chats and watching our videos and commenting on them. So thank you so much for that. And I just dropped Chad's link into Chad's video, trying to drop it in this one. But I'm dropping the link right now for Chad's video. Anyways. Thank y'all for being here. As we always say, it's God, family, and the great outdoors. God bless. See y'all later.
Yeah.